A Train Pipebomb Productions presents Pipebomb Radio NYC. Sponsored by Fanatics, TickPick, RenderForest, Steiner Sports, and Walmart. Here are your DJs, Ricky, the Master of MayheM Litwinkowich, and Lars, the Viking Johnsson. Pipebomb Radio NYC. It's not just a name, it's an attitude. Our guests are here.
Ooh, naked ladies?
They have...
naked ladies?
No, unfortunately, no naked ladies.
Crap.
All right. Cord, what's up, my man?
Hey, what's going on, my guys?
I heard you have a limited schedule, so we got you on a little bit earlier today.
Thank you.
Do spread the word, though. We do want to try to get you a little bit of a longer interview. So we'll schedule that out, and we don't have to be live for it. We could pre-record it, and then I can upload it later.
Okay.
Okay. So we do welcome Eric is there too?
What was that?
Is Eric there too? Because it's got both.
He's not. No, he's actually traveling. So I see it says Courtney, but he's bumped out. They all went to the Muse show last night.
Oh
no, they fled.
Yes,
they fled.
So we have Cord on from T.R.O.Y, aka The Reality of Yourself. Cord, how you doing, man?
Pretty good, my guys. How's the Pipe Bomb doing? How's it going?
It's the 4th anniversary of the show, and you are a part of it.
Congratulations, man! Putting work and time into anything. I know it takes a lot of effort, so I commend y'all doing the good things.
We do thank you for coming on. I do appreciate it. So here is the weird twist for this interview. My nephew actually found you guys, I believe he was either on Instagram or TikTok, and he immediately came to me and said, hey, you do a lot of interviews. Let me see if we can hook this up. So he got in touch with you guys, and here you are.
Pretty crazy, man. That's wild. But hey, maybe it was meant to be. You know, nephew's doing good work.
He is 20 and has been doing a lot of behind the scenes for a lot of the stuff. So because he's doing a lot of the behind the scenes, like he is just trying to get more material in for the show. And I will say, since he got in contact with you guys, I've listened to a lot of the music. I am completely enamored with what I've heard.
Thank you, man. I mean, it's definitely, I listen to a lot of stuff too, and put a lot of heart into the writing and recording. So that means a lot, for real.
Well, I do know from experience, music takes a lot of dedication to actually make happen before anything breaks through. It's that nonstop. And you know what I can remember from my band? I don't know if it was the same for you guys, but we had the best practice, rehearsal, whatever you want to name it, when like the drummer just broke up with his girlfriend. I just broke up with my girlfriend. Everyone had trouble. Dude, that day we made music like never, ever before.
The drama can breed creativity.
And the creativity that comes out of a lot of stuff, especially if you have a really, really good team together, the sky's the limit.
I gotta say, I feel that with my boys, man. I know we're just trying to shoot for the moon, laying in the stars. So
it's a great thing. So, Cord, give us a little bit of a background on the band, how you guys started out, like any trials and tribulations that you've had coming up to the point.
Yeah, man. It's quite a long story, but basically, the band started out as a little kid labor of love. Getting a house down the street and going over there and bashing and making loud music every week. And then, we put out an album, put out another album independently. I grew up in a bluegrass family, so music was always a big part of that and kind of black sheeped into rock and roll. Nice. And I think, some of that blends into my voice a little bit on the records, which is something that I'm appreciative of. But we've been stomping around Missouri and these Midwestern states for a few years. Our drummer E, who was going to be on here, he's based out of Chicago, but everybody else is right around this place, and he's been with us, 8 or 9 years almost now. So we got a pretty close-knit group of guys. And, our goal is just to record and put out the best music possible, as fluently and quickly as possible. And finding ways to streamline that is definitely, one of the band's goals through all this, because today's day and age, content's king.
Hey, quick question. Do you have kids?
Do I have what?
Do you have kids?
Kids? No.
Because another one of my experience, my dad used to drum for the Dutch Wing College Band. That's freaking Dixieland. If there is any bigger chaos music ever, it's Dixieland. Because every instrument is doing its own solo whenever the heck they want. But the fun part is, I got into music as well. It wasn't Dixieland. The first time I heard Hendrix, I was sold. I was playing keyboards, a little bit of piano, and then screw that, guitar.
Yeah.
And I actually have a Yamaha Stratocaster type. I don't know the exact model name, but it's built especially for me by a guy I know in North Carolina. But the funny part is, my youngest daughter, like a couple of years ago, I got a video of her that was posted on YouTube where she plays piano. I don't know why, but it seems like if music is in your DNA, it runs through your whole family. Is that the same thing for you?
On levels, yeah. Like my grandfather plays and my uncles play and my dad and my mom picked up stand-up bass when I was a teen learning guitar.
Damn. Nice.
And so we all, I grew up going to church every Sunday and playing music with my family, I guess, and learning how to sing harmony. And you can say what you want on any belief system of religion or anything, but I do hold those moments dear because, like, I was just building something, and then I'd come home and I would probably sit there and worship my rock records, in the darkness. Because like for you, Metallica, I picked up a guitar and it was like I wanted to learn every riff off of Injustice or Ride the Lightning, and I was obsessed with that, and that was kind of my church, especially through the summers.
With Metallica, though, it was playing on the radio yesterday as I was driving to pick up my wife, and I used to idolize them, and they're still the band itself. It's legendary, but
yeah,
if you closely listen to Lars, his drumming, it's pretty freaking basic. He doesn't do much as a drummer. Like if you have the drummer off of what's that band? Spirit of Radio? Neil something? Rush.
Of who? Vince Neil?
Drummer of Rush.
Oh, of Rush. Oh, Bert. Yeah.
Like that's a freaking show happening on stage. I don't really see that with Lars. That's what I miss.
Yeah, for me, he's got an identity. When he plays a part, it may be a straight 4 to the floor, but I can tell that's Lars snare. And I think for me, that's a big part of what makes a drummer great is, for Metallica, a lot of people argue with this, he does have a lot of basic rhythms, but the identity, it's kind of unmistakable. But
yeah, and his basics are so freaking spot on. There is no mistakes. I mean, I couldn't do it. I could not do it. As the basic drums that
nobody's mad at AC/DC for rocking the same, kick drum pattern.
First stroke on the guitar, and you know it's AC/DC.
Lars, do you have any questions for Cord?
Of course. For me, I'm in Sweden, live in Sweden.
Okay.
So have you been touring or done any gigs in Sweden, Europe, or are you planning to?
Say that again one more time. I'm sorry, Lars.
Have you been touring or doing any gigs in Europe and Sweden? Or
yeah, we're actually picking up. We played a pretty awesome acoustic set here in our hometown last 2 nights ago, which is kind of a rarity for us. But again, growing up in a bluegrass family, I love doing stuff like that, and I think our fans, especially in the hometown region, really appreciate things like that. We're going up to Kansas City this weekend, and then we're booking out for the rest of late spring, summer for an album drop. So we've got a full album that we're trying to release come June, it looks like. And so we're trying to book shows around that currently.
Nice. Yeah, I've been listening in the whole day to like all your songs from the old albums and newer EP, and I fucking love everything you did. Like, so great.
Appreciate that. What's a cut that you've been digging on?
More or less all songs. I mean, I was listening with my neighbor here, and we were both like, fuck that. Great fucking singing. Like, so good. I loved it all.
Well, man, super. Again, from my heart, appreciate that, because that's why, you know, I'm so obsessed with music, and it's the love language of the universe, in my opinion, whether it's metal or it's a ukulele. So
yeah.
So the one thing I did notice is that your music does have the correct theme that I like. It changes up a lot. Like, there's not just one level sound to all of your music. What influences personally do you have of yourself that you can kind of take and add into the material that T.R.O.Y has?
You know, I do take a lot of like classic rock influence when I was younger, and even to this day, I get pretty obsessed with watching how these albums were all made, you know, whether it was the Beatles, again, you know, like the Who, Allman Brothers, you know, I love to see the background of how they did it, because there's a human essence in all that can be overlooked in today's music, an authenticity, if you will, because music is readily available for creators on a lot of levels, that I tend to believe I'm looking for some soul within it, you know, some humanity. And I just want to bring that to our records, and never put a box on the full concept of what T.R.O.Y, the reality of yourself, can be, because again, that's the brand, the concept behind the whole identity of this project, is that you are in a direct correlation with your reality and how you create it. You know, what your mindset is, down to what you eat, to what you think, to what you breathe, to what you listen to. And I just want to be the soundtrack for people who want to create a better reality, you know? And so I have that in mind a lot, but songwriting is almost like channeling something, or just connecting with something that's outside of you, and then just trying to paint that picture in air, which is a crazy magic concept still, you know, for only 100 years or so into recording music. So like, that's where I get obsessed, is like how the tools of today versus the tools of the 70s, 60s, and 50s, and where that's leading. You know, a guy like Jimi Hendrix, like he was talking about, you know, he was obsessed with trying to find the latest technology of his time to record. You know, he went and covered Sgt. Pepper like the week it was released, you know, and played it live.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of insanity is that? We don't see that type of stuff anymore, you know?
We have a comment in the comment section. My nephew Ryan is the one that got in touch with you guys.
Ryan, yeah.
So he put in the comment section, there's a lot of emotion in your voice with a lot of the songs, and it brings a lot to the music.
Oh, yeah. Agree. Totally.
Yeah, man. I tend to only want to sing about stuff I care about, or again, I can kind of get into a moment. You know, if we were just talking about pizza, it'd be a different emotion.
Yeah.
You know, but if you tell me a story that really grips me, I'm going to empath with you a little bit naturally. And I think that's where the emotion can come from. And plus just my own trials and tribulations, you know, blues, people can't sing real blues without going through through something and feeling it. And if they can, then their soul again has felt something deeper that they don't even probably understand yet. Maybe they do.
I will say this though. I will relate to something that you just did say, and it's something that I listened to a ton when I was younger, and I'm still a huge fan of, is the Beatles. Because they brought so much of an originality to their style. Yes, they came overseas and they planted themselves in rock history, which is amazing. But they still have that big feel for being out in the mainstream still. There are bands that a lot of people will not be able to overlook for a extreme long time, no matter how old the music is. And for you to bring that feel into what you guys do is absolutely amazing.
I mean, you're hitting on, in my opinion, some of the greatest recordings of all time. You know, George Martin, Billy Preston, those guys, you know, Lyndon, all of those guys, man, they were making magic and creating how it's made, you know, creating the process. So yeah, that music still shines to me to this day. People can get tired of the Beatles or think this and that. You know, my mom and dad, they like the early era, don't like the trippy era, where growing up, it was like, I wanted to learn all the songs because you know, the chromatic chord progressions, the changing of time, or just the changing of an entire recording for a verse, you know, into a chorus, just to make something different. Like that was all just thinking outside the box to me in such a time where music was in a box. And that's cyclical. Like it's coming back around to where people are breaking out of the box, whether it's rock and roll, whether they're, you know, infusing more pop or Native American. You know, there's a lot to be said about where music's going to be heading in the next few years.
Well, just know this, and I always say this fact, and everybody thinks I'm full of it, but the Beatles, believe it or not, were the first ones to be labeled as a metal song in metal
I did not know that.
So, believe it or not, it's 1968. They were listed as a true metal band for one track.
That's crazy.
Yes.
That's amazing.
So, that's a long lineage of history there. We do have The Reckoning to come up to lead you out.
Okay, cool.
I do want to ask you, though, and I know Lars had another question, too, but I'm going to pop this question in first. Musical influence for vocals, who would that be?
Definitely pretty wide there. I grew up loving a guy named Dan Meninsky, who is the guitar player of Alison Krauss, who's done a lot of different projects. He actually a few years ago released kind of a country rock pop project, and his vocals are very homey, very, again, bluegrass vibe. I've really always enjoyed Queen, Freddie Mercury, you know, but kind of with the flavor of like Maynard, you know, kind of like something that's a little more ethereal. So like, and then like Alanis Morissette and stuff like that, you know, I don't know, like it gets wild. The Eagles were a big part too growing up, I guess, singing, and you know, they're kind of the Americana sound to me on a lot of levels. But
yeah.
those are big vocal influences, you know, for sure. Don Henley, whew, got that sultry voice, man.
Oh, he's that. If you need a mood changer, that's the one you go to. I'm not even joking. Like, there's a lot of there's a lot of different vocals that I hear, especially when I'm listening to the music, because I could tune in to like certain different aspects of the song as I go through. And just overall, first off, I'm glad that you actually were able to take a little bit of time to come on and talk with us. But now we are going to be able to bring the PBR listeners more of Troy, because one thing that we do here is we try to bring a lot of music, not like mainstream people. We try to bring in sounds and independent artists that nobody's ever heard of, and just broaden their minds a little bit more, because that's the true thing about music. you hear all of like the GNR, the Metallica, the Slipknot, the Godsmack, and unfortunately they're not doing any more after this last album. But we like to bring in a whole bunch of different sounds so that people get that more variety taste to the show. So, Cord, again, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
And kudos for doing that, man, because I think we need the new music. We need this thriving, underbelly, transitional, who is going to be the next on main stage, I'd love to throw my hat into that ring.
Lars, hit him up with the last question so that we can let him get to his busy schedule, my friend.
So when you're playing live, like doing gig or concert or whatever, which one is, if any, the most popular song in the crowd?
The Reckoning is definitely up there. Our latest release, I don't know if I can curse on here or not, but
yes, you can. There are no
talking
limits.
Shit, if you will, talking
Let
money
it loose.
sign hit.
Let it loose.
That's been a big crowd favorite because we've played it out for a year or so live every now and then. And we got a bunch of our fans to shoot the video, so the response to it's been pretty amazing, especially again as an independent band. We kind of refuse to pay to play for things as far as radio or this or that, so it's all 100% authentic, just us trying, running this beast of a machine thing. And so to see that reaction to that song is really great. Gallows is a big fan favorite as far as a B-side that, somebody said the other day on our, so, you guys need to push this song. And it's like, we went in there and wrapped that thing up in like 2 days just to finish the last EP, and it's become a big crowd favorite, fan favorite. So those are the ones that if people are getting into it, I'd recommend those, and maybe Wicked World. But like I said, a lot of these new songs are going to be coming out. We've got a new one coming out a week from this Friday, and a couple more waterfalling out before the final album, the full album. So I'm excited. We're kind of excited to see just what can happen, and welcome people to the T.R.O.Y family.
Ryan says he loves Whipping Post.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
All right.
I also have to say, like, the lyrics and the titles of the songs is really great too. Like Hate, Burn, Die, and The Great Dying, and like.
Oh yeah, man! The Great Dying is one of my personal favorites live to play.
Yeah.
So before we get to playing The Reckoning, Cord, shout out all of the social medias where they can find you, websites, and so on. And then later on, I'll email back whoever I was talking to, and we can try to get the whole band together.
Rock and roll, man. Yeah. Spotify, Instagram, at The Reality of Yourself, which is the moniker, or T.R.O.Y is the moniker of The Reality of Yourself. So you search that, you can find us on Spotify, Insta, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. All of that stuff will pop up underneath there, as well as our own website and store, all that good jazz. And yeah, come jump into our metaverse for a bit.
Oh, and you will not be disappointed if you do that. I'm just telling you right now, because I got the whole lowdown, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna listen to this, and then now it's regularly in my playlist, so I can't miss out on any of the band.
Man, we appreciate you guys, Lars, Ricky. Really, like, it means a lot, because I'm sure as small, independent, growing, like every inch is a win. So like we appreciate it a lot.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you coming on. We are going to play The Reckoning by T.R.O.Y, a.k.a. The Reality of Yourself. This is Pipebomb Radio NYC.
You sent a letter to the county line saying, give me a minute with my family and I, 'cause I never thought it'd turn out this way. Yeah, I was just a boy back then with a shoestring smile, a toy gun in hand, but I clung to every word he said. from crying. But we knew the end was near. 'Cause you can chain one man to 4 cold walls, but you can't chain down a spirit nor soul. Screaming, boys, I've done my time. Now we ride tonight, because it's been 10 years since they shot me dead, but I'm still right here. I will never back down. They gotta do or die if they think I'm gonna change. Yeah. Now you see these scars and these prison bars never hold me back from the shooting stars. 'Cause I am no man's slave. Many cried freedom. This is my reckoning. He said it's been 10 years since they shot me down, but I'm still right here. I will never back down. They gotta do one better if they think I'm gonna change. Yeah. Now you see these scars and these prison bars never hold me back from the shooting stars. 'Cause I am no man's slave. Then he cried for freedom, and he was tried for freedom. You know he died for freedom. Now it's my reckoning.
Hey, this is Lynn from SoundMachine FM, and you're listening to Pipebomb Radio NYC.
Okay, we're back here on Pipebomb Radio NYC Core. Dude, that is goosebumps, man. Fucking goosebumps.
Yeah, same here. Chills and goosebumps.
Appreciate you a lot, man. Thank you.
I actually muted my mic. I didn't want to fuck up that sound.
I had mine muted. I was probably
Well-
making noise back there, but no, it's awesome, guys. Thanks a lot. For
I
real.
got my thoughts kind of worded in the comment that I posted. It's a fine line between power and overpowering your voice, and you're exactly in that spot. I love it, because a lot of guys I'm pretty sure you can put that voice and replicate it on a stage when you're going live. If you listen to a band and I know I'm gonna kick some heels right now, but crap, now I can't even come up with their name. Guns N' Roses. Axl is yelling on stage. He can do one song and then his voice is gone. That to me isn't a band. That's a studio band. I think you guys are a live band. I can hear you do that on stage.
Yeah,
And that for me qualifies as a band. You know what I mean?
Thank you, because I grew up having a holler over everybody else. Got all the blaring guitars and drums, so I think we like to staple. At least the band grew out of live. That was how we became a band. That was our main shtick. So I appreciate that, man.
But a lot of bands, once they hit the studio they throw in so many technique and so many filters that it isn't that band anymore. It is a studio sound, and that to me isn't the band. Isn't what makes a band. A band has followers and fans. Why? Because they can replicate what they do, what they bring on an album, on a stage. That's what fans want to see. They want to feel that energy, and that energy is definitely there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
exactly. Music. I mean, that live show should be an experience. It needs to be.
Back in Holland when I was still living in Europe, way back in the 80s, I saw Queen live. Dude, that set the bar so high for everyone else I saw after that.
Yeah.
Oof, that was seriously.
Have
you ever had goosebumps for like 90 minutes straight?
Living off that high.
Even gay. I'm not even gay, but holy crap, that sound, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what I hear back in the band, because the recordings that I hear right now aren't too filtered. They're not like what they do with Photoshop with pictures. It's not what you do to your band. You stay true to the sound that the band has. Keep
Well,
that. Never
Yeah.
ever let that go, because that's going to lose you fans. You
It's
have a
actually
sound that pulls people in.
it's actually
That's what
funny
they're
that you
coming
mentioned
for.
that, because there is a heavily criticized band out there right now that's been playing live shows, I think 17, 18 years now.
Nickelback.
And no, Dragon Force. Believe it or not, Dragon Force, their albums, all of their records sound absolutely amazing. Riffs, vocals, everything. You go to see them live, and it's like, where did they go? Like,
Yeah,
what trash ended up on
Yeah.
stage that we
Can
didn't hear
imagine.
in studio?
exactly.
And
Yeah.
I think I've seen Hermit be vocal about, like hunting perfection on the recordings,
Yeah,
hunting hunting to push the limits of guitar on the recordings. I
Yeah.
think it was almost as one of the earlier contracts where they had full stipulation over how the guitars went, because that was a goal of the band. I bet they may fall short, but boy, I can't tell you how many times uh, I've listened to Dragon Force Through Fire and Flames and just been crushing on it, because it's just like, good Lord, guys, that is a masterpiece. Uh, although it's a different format than live,
yes.
I tend to appreciate them differently. I do, because there's magic that can happen when a mic's on that may never happen again.
Yeah.
And that is
Yeah.
what's crazy about recording. But you're right,
Yeah,
there
but
is also this element of, man, you
post
come back out
production.
and do that night after night, like it's just inside of you. That is something special in its own right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of compare it to Lego blocks. You got some musicians that can, uh, by training, build that Lego brick house, and it looks pretty solid, but that's all it is. There's no feeling in there. Whereas someone that comes in with talent may not be as perfect as the rank Xerox is what I call them. I'm sorry. It may not be as perfect. That's why I never learned to read notes. Music
Yeah.
isn't a rank Xerox machine. It's an emotion. So if we did a cover of another band, I would
Exactly.
play it the way I feel it.
Yeah.
That to
Yeah.
me is the biggest compliment you can give a band, not by copying exactly what they do and how they do it.
No.
Like
And
with our band. Go ahead.
that's just the beauty of it in my head. It's,
Yeah.
all different through the eye of the beholder, or the ear of the beholder, should I say,
The
which is
imagination
why it's
and
so
the
special.
perception.
It's why that one song may trigger a therapeutic moment for you that takes you back to third grade when you ate a PBJ or something. I don't know. It's just, it can do anything. Like, it really is, I think it's
One
one of the main healers of the world that we just don't even understand yet. And so it's hard to fathom, to me, the grasp music has on humanity, because it's so spread, it's
It's
so
because
non-measured correctly, and
I
we
think
use
it
it,
all has to do with resonancy.
we
Like
use it as pleasure right now on mainly, which is great, but also, dude, it's therapeutic, it's
oh yeah.
inspiring, it can get you in a workflow, like it's a tool.
At
Yeah.
at worst, it's a song length long escape from reality for whoever is going into the music.
Totally.
Dude, it
Oh yeah.
saved my ass more than once. You're talking to a former heroin addict right now, so I know what I'm talking about. And I'm not like, oh, look at who I am. No, I was the idiot that started it. I'm the idiot that quit it after an OD. But music is so freaking universal. Like, I can go straight into Africa, into a tribe that doesn't even speak English or any of the languages I speak. Pull up a guitar, make some music, and they can drum it. But it works. Paul Simon did it, and it worked.
True, man.
That's the biggest example.
True.
The way Paul Simon did those African tunes, diamonds on the soles of her shoes and everything. You may not like it, but holy hell, is it universal music?
No, dude, Simon
Yeah.
and Garfunkel, and just Paul Simon, and amazing
That-
what that guy can do with just vocals and a
Have you-
guitar.
Have you ever seen the concert in Central Park?
Oh
It's
yeah,
it's
I got it on DVD,
for my
buddy. Yeah,
exactly for my
there's some
generation. It's a
creepy.
staple to have.
Yeah, I mean, just like a million people, and there's some really creepy shots. We've always laughed about it because Garfunkel kind of looks a little creepy on some of the shots with the
Yeah,
lighting and stuff. But boy, are they just on point. The band is on
yeah.
point. Like, what a cool night to even just be again captured on film.
When
Shoot.
they say it themselves, what a night, and then
Yeah.
the crowd goes nuts. It's yeah, because it's not just like being in a band or being a musician. Like the first time I went on stage, I was scared shitless. It was 1,200 people, but and I was the lead guitarist. But once you get into a song and you have those 4 or 5 people getting what you're doing, the rest catches on. Dude, it is one big orgasm, basically.
Yeah, it is.
You know
It's
what I
a
mean? Without it, I don't mean it like sleazy, but it is one because you're one. Like they get what you're
Yeah.
talking about, or with your guitar, you see the response, and that kind of energy, dude. That
and
is
it's
more
powerful.
addicting than yeah, it's more addicting than any heroin I ever tried. Like I loved it, and I can get that is why you want to pursue a band as well. Like if you can the feeling you said it before, like if an emotion, a feeling you want to translate through your music, and if that translated those translated words, those audible words, reach someone and they get what you're trying to say, that is the biggest flattery.
Yeah,
And,
man.
and you can see when that happens.
You can, and I know when it's happened to me, you know, through the bands and great songs that I love. And again, I think maybe I'm a sensitive little being or something, but like I empath with a little bit, you know. You can put yourself there, or you put yourself in a situation for your own internal growth out of that
Yeah.
song, or maybe you don't. Maybe it's out of anger, or maybe it's out of, you know, letting some
Yellow,
steam out, whatever.
yellow
But
ledbetter
it's
will get
gonna.
me every time.
I want to rise out of myself, you know, and
Yeah.
so I'm hoping the listener is getting there too. Like I know that.
Well, the funny thing is, a lot of musicians always have like very creative hobbies as well. It's not just music that they they just want to create.
Yeah.
Like a lot
Yeah.
of the good musicians that I know have that same thing. They want to create.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
too bad
and it-
nowadays
Also,
a
Cord,
lot of music.
like I told you, I listened to a bunch of your music today with my neighbor, and when the next track came on, he was like, "Is this the same band?" Because it's so different, all the songs and
Yeah.
the vocals sound so different in different songs, and so really different
Some of
from
that's
a lot
just
of bands.
the growth of the band, you know, time, and some of it's
Yeah.
just honing in the direction, you know, so to speak. Like I've had a north in my mind for several years, even since I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know, sitting there drawing on little folders, band names and what I was wanting to do.
Yeah.
And so it's always trying to get to that north, but also aligning with the momentum of this relationship you have with not only the fans, but your boys, our group,
Yeah.
you know, like momentum within us four. I'm always searching for that because that is special, and it's like it's beyond the music a little bit, you know.
It's maturing as a band.
So there's a lot to be said in the growth of our music, and I'm hoping that we can continue to grow. You know, I don't want every album to sound the same, but I definitely want to find our little garden to live on, you know, and feed it and nurture it and rinse and repeat.
Yeah, but that's the
And I
thing with
was
the garden, though. You water it, but it
thinking
needs
of
nurture, and it'll grow into.
another question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned to Ricky before we started the show, and I was thinking to myself, I think you released one album in 2009 and one in 11 or 12 or something, and then the EP in 2023 now. What have been happening between that? Have you been taking breaks?
Well, we put out that little EP in like 2016, and I had like I said, we all grew up together, and we had a long-term guitar player leave the band, right around 2012. So we kind of regrouped and redirected a little bit, and so that was part of that. The other part, the very first one, a lot of those songs wrote. I was like 16, 17 years old. I was just a kid, just didn't know, just writing songs, and we won a battle of the bands to get some recordings, and then we won another battle of the bands. So like it almost accumulated to an album, and a local guy took a chance on recording us, and him and I kind of grew together through this. And so that's where it was, to the point where we won a third battle of the bands, and we flew out to LA to work with Jay Bumgarner, who's done like Evanescence, Incubus, tons, Stone Temple Pilot, tons of great bands. And we cut 3 tracks with them through Ernie Ball, who helped sponsor that, which was really cool. And that's part of what's coming out on the new album. It's a little different because it was like we all sat in a room, again, with just an acoustic guitar, and kind of picked through some songwriting stuff I had, and married it within a week, and just knocked it out. But it's got a different sound than the others in my head, but together I think it gives a good palette of who we are, and like this relationship of authenticity that spans music from the 60s to now in my head. So,
well, I will say this: we went definitely over the half hour.
I'm seeing that. Yeah,
this is why I said, like, when we get an actual time to really get everybody together, where there is no time restraints or whatever. Like,
no,
I
man,
really would love to sit down and talk with everybody, because to me, this is the way that I make more connections. I make more friends. I can sit there and say, hey, when you guys got another track come out, shoot it over to me. I'm gonna air it. This is the thing. It's a big collaboration between myself, Lars, Nick, you guys, other bands that we play on the show, because that's the whole group. Like, we all get together and we try to get to that next level, and that's always been the moniker for me, is like, what's the next level I can get to. So
yeah,
definitely, I really appreciate you giving us the time for coming on. I know we said a half hour, but a half hour, you blow by when you're having conversation, and you have absolutely
yeah. When you're talking good talks, man, time
it
flies. So I appreciate y'all so much.
Dude,
keep doing
like I said,
keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing it right.
And we'll definitely we'll team up. Like, I always need the new team members to sit there and collaborate with. And if you need an ear on a track, and you need somebody to say, hey, like, maybe there's a tune you need to do, or like a little fix in the thing, like, I'm always here, man.
Nice, man. Well, I'll keep that in my back pocket, because that's nice to have.
It's one of the things that I always preach on this show, because we have other bands that are currently in our show chat right now listening, and they love the fact that we could add more talent to our family in itself. And I think that Troy is a great addition to the talent.
Hey, dude, rising tide raises all ships. That's the truth. We're all in this working hard. That's what matters.
Dude,
well, there's a large market in Southern California for the kind of music that you guys are making. I can guarantee you that.
Let's make it happen.
We can do that. We've done it already.
It's not just Latinos over here, and I know some Latinos that can rip a chord like no other. They like your music over here. I'm pretty sure of that. I'll poke it up.
Well, man, we're always looking for viable touring options. And getting out to places we've never been. So that's, like I said, we just tracked out there. But
let me throw out one name: Coachella Fest. Ever heard of it?
Cool. All right, guys.
You know Coachella Fest?
Oh, no, what?
Hang on, mic close to my face. Coachella Fest.
I guess not. No. Oh, you saying Coachella?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, I live a mile away from the festival grounds.
That's wild, man. They just in your backyard partying for a week.
Look it up, Indio, California. if you're going that way, I'll get you guys situated. Don't you worry.
And I can
All
hook
right,
up
bet.
a few venues here in New York City too.
Exactly.
Man,
There's
you know, those
quite a
are
few
really
places I can
far
get you.
apart, but I'm into that.
We're very well distanced in this show, so nobody can say anything.
That's
about social
awesome, dude.
distancing.
That's there's a good 3,000 miles between you. That's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool.
So, Cord, thank you. I appreciate it, man.
Hey, thank you guys, man. Have a great
Okay,
week.
Thank you very
Yeah.
Have a
much.
good one.
Rock and roll.
That was
Yeah.
Cord from Troy, The Reality of Yourself.
This is Alex Alcazaz, aka the Bear of Texas, and you've just listened to another amazing episode of Pipebomb Radio NYC Season 4, hosted by Lars the Viking Johnsson and Ricky, the Master of MayheM Litwinkowich. Don't forget to check out any Pipebomb merchandise at paintrainpipebomb.threadless.com for great merchandise at amazing prices. Check out our great shows like Ringside Chaos, Pipebomb Metallic, Cowboys Talk, and Into the Net FC on all listening platforms. Tune in again next time for another episode of Pipebomb Radio NYC.